afternoon, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, and we are coming to you from the studios of MCTV. And there's a lot going on. A good show today. Not that they're not always good shows. They're always good shows. But I have the pleasure and privilege of having as my first guest Rose Potter, a dear friend for many years. And Rose is running for a seat on the Talbot County Council. So Rose, welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. So let's begin. First, I should tell you that Rose, for 8 years, served on the Trapp Town Council. She's married. She has 3 adult children, 2 grandchildren. And what else would you like the public to know about you?
Well, I think I'd like them to know what my qualifications are.
Okay.
So we'll start with that. And the first thing I'd like to say that I was employed by the state of Maryland. I retired with 30 years of experience in administration. I have a vast repertoire, I guess, of community involvement. I've been affiliated with 17 organizations in the county and also in the town.
I didn't know that.
As a member of a committee or as a board of director.
Cool.
I do have, as Rabbi have said, I've served 8 years as a town commissioner for Trapp. And finally, I have a degree in social work, graduating cum laude, matriculating from Salisbury University.
Oh, cool.
So, I would like everybody to know that. That's a bit of information that maybe some people may not know.
That's worth sharing because I didn't graduate cum laude. I'm lucky I graduated at all. That's a different story. I actually wanted to be a rock and roll. Never mind. I did. I wanted to be a rock and roll drummer. My parents wouldn't let me. Oh well. And so this would not be new to you. I mean, I know when we first met, you were still active on the council in Trapp.
Yes.
So, what's your vision? Why do you want to do this at this point in your life? And what do you think needs focus? What do you think needs changing? And how do you think you can affect that?
Okay. You're right. I'm a people person, so I enjoy very much being around people, being around especially the constituency here in Talbot County. And I've been doing this on this road of community involvement since 2009. Wow. So I have been doing it for quite a long time. I do think the council should represent diversity, and because it really does not, I decided to run.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not just speaking about diversity as it relates to race. I really am speaking about diversity as it relates to the parties. I think that in order for the council to represent all people, I really believe that there should be both Democrats and Republicans sitting in the seats so that we could actually have a proper balance, I think. However, that responsibility does rest with us. We have to get out, go to the polls. We have to get out and vote.
Yes.
So I really believe that as far as change is concerned, if we are all around the table and talking about different things, then I think we can come up with suitable solutions to a lot of the problems.
That's a very interesting point you just made, because when we think about diversity, I think just because of who we are and how we've been sensitized or desensitized, we think about race. But you make a very good point that a political balance is always a good thing.
Absolutely. And I think we have an obligation to do just that. You're right. A lot of times when you hear the word diversity, the first thing that comes to mind is race.
Right.
But that's far from what I'm thinking about right now.
No, I think seriously that was a very important point. Thank you for doing that. And so what are your from where you're sitting and from your perspective, what do you think the major issues are that will be facing us?
There's several. I will only name one or two right now.
That's fine.
I'm really concerned about Talbot County Public Schools and safety. Especially with the onslaught of all the shootings. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there was another shooting last night, I heard, on the news in one of the schools. And for me, that's very important, because when a parent send their children to school, they send them for two reasons. One, to be educated, and two, to feel safe in the surroundings
Sure,
that they're in.
sure.
And if that is being affected right now, and it is, then I would hope that the council, maybe we can partner with somebody, especially the sheriff's department, recognizing that the sheriff's department has their deputies, and their responsibility is to patrol and make the county safe as it can be. But also, I think we need to look at whether or not the schools are safe, and maybe they could help out with that as well.
Yeah, sure.
So that's very important to me.
Makes sense.
I'm sure it's very important to the community
To all
as
of
well.
us, and
Yes.
we want to create an environment where our children can learn.
Absolutely.
And not, that's what I've seen, the huge change with all this violence in schools, is that the context, the milieu, the atmosphere in which our kids now learn is profoundly different than when we
Yes.
were in school.
Yes,
you know?
yes. Yes.
Not that anything is perfect. That's not the
Right,
point. But
right.
but this is an added measure of distraction, necessary
Absolutely,
distraction.
yes.
But it's not what
Yes.
we send our children to school
Right.
for. So
And I think too, once that happens, and the safety is disturbed, then we have other problems, because we want our children to be successful, but we also want them to be competitive
Right.
as well in the workforce. And when we have instances like shootings or whatever that's going on within, that's something we really need to look at and try to consider some kind of solution to
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
From this perspective, from this
No,
in this
that's
area.
Good point. Another topic that you wanted to mention?
Affordable housing is another one.
Yes.
And I think affordable housing, some people may relate that to limited income for some people, but I think it goes beyond that. And the reason why I say that is because, for example, if the sheriff department needs a deputy is hired, deputy comes to the county, but deputy can't find affordable housing. Same thing with the Tarboro County Public Schools.
Right.
Hire a teacher comes but cannot afford
To live.
to live here in Tarboro County, recognizing that Tarboro County is a rich county. We must keep that in
Right,
mind.
and its affluence that's not a bad thing.
No,
but
no,
we want to have
no.
the infrastructure
Yes.
to maintain our posture and our position.
Yes.
I fully agree.
So I wholeheartedly believe that, we need to look from the county's perspective, look at affordable housing so that we can help in any respect that we can in those along that line.
Yes. So as you have been campaigning and going on and about this process and talking with citizens and constituents, what do you hear are their concerns? What's the populace telling you that they want you to be aware of
Right.
and be concerned with?
The opioid condition that's going on
Yeah.
here in the county.
It's
Also
stunning.
Yes.
It's stunning.
Yes. Also the hunger factor that's going on in the county. I don't know if you know this or not, but the Hunger Coalition has on their website that hunger has no color. I mean, it
Right.
could be black or white or
Right,
whatever.
right.
And what it does is when children are hungry, it affects them in school. One thing that's good though is that there is approximately 180 children plus that are either on reduced lunches or free lunches. Okay, and then on the weekends, there is an organization around that actually gives kids bags of food to take home so that they have it. That is very important to me. I hate the thought of anybody being hungry, but I think about when children are hungry, then it affects. It affects the way they produce in school. And so that is one thing. Another thing is what I just mentioned is affordable housing, and another thing is the revenue cap. They're very concerned about that. And there's probably some things that the next council really needs to look at and to really consider in reference to that, because the revenue cap affects a lot of things, infrastructure to begin with, educational
Sure, of
funding,
course.
and even the hunger. And there's a lot of things that the revenue cap encompasses. So for the next council, I'm hoping that they will be able to take a look at this and then strategically, succinctly plan for this so that we can do what we need to do
Yes.
in reference to our community, but also in references to our citizens as well.
Anybody talking to you about the environment, the bay, and all that?
The environment is something that, yes, I have talked to several people about it, and believe this or not, they gave me a new perspective on it. They told me that the environment is global. Okay,
Yes.
it's global.
That's
They said they feel that we need to take it and make it more personable. There are some things that
yeah.
we can do ourselves.
Yes,
We
I
can make
understand
sure
that.
that our cars stop,
spewing,
the
exhaust.
fumes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And we can also not throw debris into our streams and our waters, our rivers or whatever. There is something that we can do on the personal level, and we can start that right now.
It's very interesting. I asked that, and this is serious. I was asked to come and bless and say a prayer for growth and health over folk who are growing oysters, and they sort of chuckled when they did it, but they were also serious. Oysters that are shellfish
Yes,
are
yes.
not kosher,
Right.
But they're still living beings, and the oysters clean the bay.
That's right.
And based on the fact that I have a very strong sense of environmental responsibility, I'm going to go and bless the oysters.
Well, wonderful.
So, but yes,
Yes.
it's got to be personal.
It does.
Global, we sometimes miss the big picture.
We do.
The forest for the trees.
Right,
The
right.
trees for the forest, as the case may be.
So I'm just thinking that if we could take this situation as, under a personal concept, then we become more responsible for what we're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. As you see the work of the council and what it's done over certainly the last 8 years that you've been involved in the TRAP Council, anything you would have done differently? Are you pleased with the progress and their work? I'm not putting you on. I don't want to put you on a spot and be critical of anybody, but
and that I wouldn't do
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
because everyone who goes into a political position goes in with the mindset of doing the best that they can
That's
do.
correct.
No one
Yeah.
goes in thinking otherwise.
and I certainly think that's true about the folk in our area.
Yes, I believe that. So even though they may not have done the way some thought the expectation should have been, they still did what they thought they needed to do. So as far as what I hope that they would have done differently, and that would have been to have looked at the revenue tax
Yep.
cap. That is so important. That affects, as I said, so many people, so many situations, so many services, just so many things. So that would be the thing that I would wish that they had looked at differently.
Well, there's a lot of work to do, without question.
Yes.
We certainly want to maintain the standard that we enjoy here.
Yes.
We want to not only maintain it, but even perhaps elevate it to the best of our ability.
Yes.
We wish you great luck, great success.
Thank you. Thank you.
And how many people are running?
Actually, there's a total of 13.
That's
amazing.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Now, when I learned that, I find that interesting. I don't know if that's a comment about they're not satisfied or that they are so satisfied that they want to be a piece of the action.
Let's break it 50-50.
Yeah, that's
right?
fine. That's fine. But and election day is
June the 26th is the primary.
Yep.
And November the 6th is the general.
That's correct.
So
And
we do, just one more thing I will say, and I do ask that everyone come out to the poll, all the registered voters come out to the polls, make your vote count.
That's correct.
Because it does.
That's correct.
So
No
hopefully I'll
question.
see you at
And
the
that's important. That's
Yes.
that can't be understated, because the process doesn't work if we don't go on and
That's
vote.
correct.
And
That's correct.
irrespective of who, everybody loses if nobody votes.
Yes, absolutely.
In more than one way.
Yes.
So,
yes. Yes.
We have been speaking with my dear friend Rose Potter. Rose is running for a seat on the Talbot County Council. Her ideas are important, and I appreciate you taking the time to share it not only with me but with the viewers on the Rabbi's Roundtable. We will have you back, and
thank you.
Certainly when you are successful in this process, we will have you back.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We will be right back, Easton. See you soon.
We are MCTV, Midshore Community Television. We want your help in making our station more robust so that we can better serve the residents of Talbot County. So, how can you help? If you are already making video content, submit that content for broadcast to the station. It's free! Are you involved in events, shows, or lectures that would be of interest to the community? We can work with you to figure out the best way to capture those events for airing on MCTV, be it training, equipment rental, or hiring our production staff to film at a reasonable rate. Do you want to produce your own show? Let us help you get started. Come be a part of this valuable community resource. Email the station at nick@avalonfoundation.org or visit us in the basement of the historic Avalon Theater at 40 East Dover Street in downtown Easton.
And we are back, and you are seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable, although it's square, but it's still the Rabbi's Roundtable. And I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi of Temple B'nai Israel. And we have moved. For those of you who are interested, the new building is completed. We are up and running. We are moving. And if anybody wants to help unload boxes, please come to my office because I have... Never mind. Well, that's a different issue. My second guest this morning is Sid Collins Walker. Sid is a remarkably talented, seasoned veteran in the arts and in film, and I'm delighted that you've taken the time to come to the Rabbi's Roundtable. We're going to talk about the Chesapeake Film Festival, some films that you have done as well, and just tell us a little bit about your background and how you get to Oxford and the Chesapeake Film Festival.
Great. Well, let me arch back just a little bit, Peter, and thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh, my pleasure.
I hope to be able to get to, as you know, talking about real gems, which we'll do shortly.
We'll do that.
But a little short synopsis on my career arc. I started in broadcasting at CBS Network.
Cool.
Then went to NBC, Black Entertainment Television,
Cool.
and finally to the Voice of America as a broadcast designer and animator.
Cool.
So I had a really wonderful career for almost 30 years as an animator.
Wow.
And then I started my own production company in 2007, and in 2008 decided to produce my first feature film.
Tell me about that, because that sounds really interesting.
I decided to, actually in the 70s, I received a fellowship with the Whitney Museum of American Art.
Oh, nice.
And it was during the time when my husband and I had met, and I was working at Art News and he was working at Antiques World. And I had met, actually, when I was 18 years old, an artist by the name of Anna Campbell Bliss, who was residing and working at that time in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is my hometown.
Ah, cool.
And it was 40 years later and I loved her work instantly. I very much wanted to be her assistant. Mm-hmm. She had an assistant at the time by the name of Skylar Nielsen, and I was actually heading to school in Southern California for my undergraduate work in painting. So it was 40 years later, after my work at the Whitney, that I decided to contact Anna and see if she would be willing to let me do a feature-length film about her life and work. And she said yes.
Oh, how cool.
So it was an odyssey of 4 years of working very closely with she and her husband, and I had a tremendous creative team to do this. My husband actually wrote the screenplay for it.
Wow.
And she was a wonderful artist who did very large site commissions, who was actually an exponent of the Bauhaus and Harvard trained.
Okay.
Wow. Harvard Graduate School. Yeah. She was one of the first women ever to go to Harvard Graduate School of design.
Amazing.
Of design.
Yeah.
And she was a great influence on me and my work. So this film came out as part of the Environmental Film Festival in 2012 at the National Museum of Women in the Arts further was shown at many museums throughout the United States, and then went to PBS.
That's so cool. That's very
What a
cool.
tremendous
You know,
journey.
I am awestruck. Seriously, that's a very powerful story, and good for you. And how fortunate that you are part of our community.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's
it's a great pleasure.
No, it's really, that's, as they hear all the time. I say this all the time on the show. We live in a very, very special place, and part of what makes it special is the environment, for sure, and the beauty of the geography, but also the wonderful talent that we live amongst. You know, and people that have accomplished great things and have impacted the world and their world around them. So how wonderful! Thank you.
Thank you.
So
very much.
let's talk a little bit about Real Gems. Let's talk
Yes.
about what's coming up, the schedule, what we can see, what's coming up in October. Let's do the whole thing.
Great, exciting.
As I said, Sid is the artistic director. Yes,
am.
the artistic director for the Chesapeake Film Festival, which is now, it's become a standard reality around here. So
We're in our 11th year,
Wow.
our 11th
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
And right now we have a special film series going on called the Real Gems Film
Yes,
Series.
Real Gems.
And it's sponsored in part by the Talbot County Arts Council, for which we are very grateful. And upcoming, actually our partners this year are the Academy Art Museum, Oxford Community Center, and St. Michael's High School.
Oh, very nice.
So we have, and we're very interested in not only through our work at the Chesapeake Film Festival, creating economic stimulus for the region, at the same time presenting some of the finest films in independent film today,
Wow.
independent cinema today.
Very exciting.
So we have been able to acquire, in many instances, wonderful titles. On Friday, May 11th, at the St. Michael's High School, we're bringing out a film called Cafeteria Man by the director Richard Chisholm. And it's a story of a positive movement that shows what's possible in our nation's schools in terms of the way kids eat at school and how we can change that.
I don't know if I had just interviewed Rose Potter, and one of her issues as she runs for a seat is the health of the food that our kids are eating.
Well, there you go.
You know,
Yeah, and it's just a wonderful film. Richard Chisholm will be there. Dina Deese Kilman of Chesapeake Harvest will be there.
oh, sure.
And as well as the lead person who is really starring in the film, Tony Garaci will be there as part of the roundtable after the film to answer questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to miss it. It's the weekend of my son's wedding in New York.
Well, that's exciting.
Yes,
Congratulations.
thank you very much. That's a whole nother story. Let's get back to the films.
All right. Also on May 11th, the concurrent date, we have a film called Heavyweight Paint. And it's about 4 New York artists who are figurative painters and their struggle to continue their work and lives in New York, in the Brooklyn area.
Oh, wow.
That was directed by Jeff Martini. Friday, May 18th, also at the St. Michael's High School, we have a film that's extremely popular coming back from our archive called Wild Ponies of Chincoteague.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard about
I
this
saw
one?
it, yes.
Oh, good. Did you like it?
I loved it. Well,
He's got quite a following.
yeah.
Kirk Kalaja and Todd Messero directed this
Yes.
film. And the woman who also stars in the film, who suffered from severe depression, who's really helped by getting one of the ponies,
Right.
will be there that night to
Oh,
address the crowd. So
Wow.
that's really great. That's May 18th. So continuing also in this series at the Art Museum, the Academy Art Museum, on June 22nd is a great film called The Art of the Steal. And it's about this $25 billion collection of art by the Barnes Foundation. And it's the story and the conflict of how it was moved from where Barnes originally had the collection
Yes.
to downtown Philadelphia,
Yes.
and the conflict that
I was in Philadelphia as a rabbi when that took place, and it was for those of us who went to the mansion, the Barnes, it was really traumatic. I mean, it's in a lovely place. It's near the Philadelphia Art Museum now, but there was something about going to the home.
This is what I've heard.
Oh, this is really true. I never knew the Barnes, but he must have been really eccentric. Yes, because you'd go through a door, and if you didn't look up over the door, or somebody didn't point it out, he would have a Picasso, or he would have a Renoir, or but just stuck between the ceiling and the doorpost. And that was part of the charm and the engaging uniqueness of seeing,
discovering things as you went through and
Yes.
experienced the collection. It's an extremely important collection.
It's a hugely, yeah, without question. And there was a whole court battle because he wanted those pieces to remain where they were as he put them when he got them. And it's really it's a fascinating story.
And this film goes into all of that,
Wow.
the battle.
Yeah, and it was seriously, it was litigated in court, and there are people to this day who are upset that they had to move from wherever it was in Philadelphia to downtown near the art museum. So, that's should be wonderful.
So
That's June 22nd.
That is June 22nd
I'm
at
gonna
the
try-
Academy Art Museum.
Okay, I'm going to try to get to that one.
The final film in this series is Friday, June 29th, and it's called Guest of Cindy Sherman. And the director of that, oh, by the way, the director of Art of the Steel is Don Argot. The final film is Guest of Cindy Sherman, June 29th. And analyzing his relationship with the elusive and reclusive artist Cindy Sherman leads filmmaker Paul Hasegawa Overacker to confront his own identity in this personal and unexpectedly humorous documentary. So it's about Cindy Sherman's work and the art world in general.
These are really eclectic, interesting films that have been chosen, and they're always interesting films at the film festival. I think you guys do a great job, and I'm here 10 years. I remember I was the second year. I mean, it was a fledgling notion for the Chesapeake Film Festival, and now it's just a standard. Good for you. It's important.
We're really trying to weave a strong cultural fabric, through cinema in the region, and help our cities come together and be tied together through the fabulous stories and great cinema.
Yeah. So, do you do a population count by any chance? And do you know how many people come from Chestertown or
We do at the end of the festival.
Yeah,
Know
okay.
pretty much how many people attended, and
Yeah.
we do quite a bit of analytics at the end of each
And are you
festival.
pleased with?
Last year was tremendous.
Good.
So it's getting stronger and stronger every year. We really appeal to everyone, please come out to participate in these programs with us and to help support all the institutions that we're partnering with.
Well, this is, again, it's not just about the arts. It has, the ripples go out, the economy, people come in, they go out to dinner, some people come in, they may stay over in one of the hotels to whatever, that's really important.
And our tagline this year is "Great Stories Begin Here." And
Oh.
so it's a little bit of a double entendre
Yeah.
because it's not only about the stories you come to see, but it's about networking too,
Sure.
and all the people you meet. It's an
That's-
opportunity to meet new people and
Absolutely.
share a meal, talk about what you do.
That's great.
It's terrific.
And again, it's one of the things I love about where we live and the environment that surrounds us. It's focused on culture, it's sophisticated, and it's embracing. And that I like a whole lot. So
It supports the restaurants and the businesses and the entire
For sure.
community.
For
Partners
sure.
In the upcoming film festival, which actually begins October 11th and runs through Sunday, October 14th. Our partners this year are the Avalon Theater, again the Academy Art Museum, the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum, Dorchester Center for the Arts, and the Cambridge Premier Cinema.
wonderful.
So we have all those partners.
And we're very fortunate to have the Art Academy here.
Oh, it's such a wonderful institution. They've been immensely supportive.
Yes, and it again, I think it's an anchor point in our community, and describes who we are in a lot of ways, and what we'd like to see ourselves as, and legitimately so. This is terrific. And what's coming up? I'm sure you've started to think about next year, although I know this year's not over yet, but
Right.
what surprises? Anything
what
you can
I
share?
can do, I can't reveal the entire programming
Yeah, I didn't
yet
think so.
for the festival, because that's still very much in
Yeah.
the selections for programming, and the selections committee
Yeah.
is now in session.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we
okay.
won't really come to the close of that until after June 15th, when submissions are closed.
Uh-huh.
But I can tell you that the opening night film is going to be New Chefs on the Block, directed by Dustin Harrison Atlas. And two chefs in DC struggle to open and maintain their first restaurants against all odds. And this film is really skyrocketing in the nation as the top
Cool.
kind of foodie film.
Yeah.
And we're planning an outdoor party with selections from a number of chefs throughout the region to
Oh, I'll have to
bring
put it on my
dishes.
calendar.
Yeah, please plan on coming. It's going to be a great
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
a great event and a great opening. And then the other thing I can tell you is that we also have the Creative Lab that is starting this year, and we've got Catherine Hand, we believe, will be coming in, who is the producer for A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, really?
Hopefully she'll be addressing the crowd at the festival itself, but we hope to bring her in. I'm probably stepping out of turn a little bit to be announcing some of these things that may or may not be happening, but that's what we're working
we will
on.
put asterisks by them.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then we close with a fabulous film called Bombshell, the Hedy Lamarr story. And this is a tremendous film. When Nazi U-boats torpedo a ship carrying 83 school children during World War II, Hollywood movie star Hedy Lamarr decides to exact revenge. At night, after shooting her scenes on set, she works on a secret radio system that will allow Allies to torpedo Nazi U-boats with deadly accuracy.
I just read an article in one of my scholarly journals about this, and I can't remember. I read so much, but no, that's very exciting. That's
It's a wonderful documentary, and it will be following our awards ceremony. Probably show in the evening on or the late afternoon on the Sunday, October 14th.
Wonderful. So tell me a little bit about the structure of the committees that you have, and
Sure.
you don't have to name names, but how are films selected and that sort of thing.
Absolutely, sure. I also want to mention that at the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum, there will be a full day on Saturday, October 13th of environmental films
Oh, wonderful.
from 1 until 9 in the evening.
Oh,
and
neat.
2 new films will premiere by Sandy Cannon Brown and her team, Tom Horton and Dave Harp.
Yeah.
And also on Sunday at the Academy Art Museum, we will have a fabulous student showcase. We've kind of been inundated with student films this year.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Easton High School gets involved, and it's really a great program.
Wonderful.
As for programming in the selections committee and how that works, we utilize on a global level a platform called filmfreeway.com. And on our website, which is www.chesapeakefilmfestival.com, any aspiring or established filmmaker can go onto our website and click Submit Film, and it will take you right to that platform and allow you to enter either narratives, features in narrative documentaries, narrative shorts, documentary shorts, or student films or films made in Maryland. We have all those categories.
Cool. Yeah.
Up until a certain date, I can't quite remember what it is right now, but student films are free. You don't have to pay a fee to enter. I have a programming team of 8. I lead that team, and there is a very clear criterion that we have. Some of the criterion are story, audio, and soundtrack, the quality, production value. We have very specific categories that we utilize for judging films, and those we have three rounds of judging, and all people on the committee vote for each film, and then as films, the higher they score, the further along in the judging process they come. We do also have recommendations that come to us from our board. We have a fabulous board, with a lot of new members on our board this year, and
Cool.
they also participate in helping us make selections.
How many people on the board?
I think we are close to 15 now.
Nice, good. Yeah, good.
Mm-hmm.
This is fascinating, and the behind the scenes is interesting to me, and thank you for being here. It's really been a lovely discussion. The Chesapeake Film Festival, you can get it more information at
www.chesapeakefilmfestival.com.
And I urge you to participate in as many of the films as you can. They're engaging. Some of them, as I said, I was aware of, and I'm pretty impressed with the selection. We've been talking to the director and artistic director of the Chesapeake Film Festival, Sid Collins Walker. Sid, thank you for being here.
I thank you so much.
No,
Rabbi.
I want you to
Very
come. I
much.
want you to come back. Absolutely.
I would love to
And
come back.
we'll talk more, because I think it's personally fascinating. I think it's important for the community to also have some idea of how this gets done, who gets it done, and why it's important. So thank you for being at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Thank you so much, and we'll look forward to possibly visiting again closer to the festival.
Without question,
Right.
question. Easton, you've been seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable. It's been a really interesting show, and we will see you next time on the Rabbi's Roundtable.